This is lesson 17-2, area of rectangles and irregular figures. Our essential question, how can you measure the area of a rectangle and irregular figures? So this picture shows having to kind of split up your shape into two rectangles to make it easy, and I'm going to go into detail about that. We have one vocab word, which is area. It's the amount of surface it covers. Example 1, find the area. Here's our formula for finding area. A stands for area, L is length, and W is width. Length times width. So really, this one's pretty easy. We already have our length and our width, 15 and 11. And we just multiply. So perimeter we were adding, area we multiply length times width. So we get 165 centimeters squared. Okay, since we're multiplying. So that is our area. Example 2. Richard is helping his father put sod in a portion of the yard. The yard is rectangular, 12 feet long, and 8 feet wide, with a 5-foot by 5-foot flower garden in one corner. How much sod will they need? So I've already drawn it out for you. It's 12 feet long, 8 feet wide, and here is the little garden that they have. So they want to know how much sod they're going to need just for the yard. They don't need to put it in the garden. Okay, so let's figure out the area of our yard all together first. So we're going to have 8 times 12. Which gives us 96. But that's the whole thing. That's our whole shape. But we have that area, this little garden, that we don't need to cover with sod. So let's figure out what that is when we do 5 times 5, because it's a square, which is 25. And since we don't need to cover that part, let's subtract it from the total. So we found the total of the whole yard, and now we're just subtracting the garden because we don't need to put down any sod there. So when we subtract 96 minus 25, we get 71 feet squared. And here's where feet came from. So that is the area they're going to need to put sod on. Example 3. So here's where it gets a little trickier. You have an irregular shape. What you have to do is split it up into two different shapes. So we're going to make 2 rectangles right now. Then we're going to find the area of both rectangles and add them together. So here's my first rectangle. I just split it up, and I can see it's 8 inches by 10 inches. So let's go ahead and multiply that to get the area of that rectangle. And we know 10 times 8 is 80. Now let's do the second rectangle right here. This one's a little trickier. This one is 6, but then on this side we have 20, but that's not just for this little piece. 20 goes all the way up. 20 is this whole length right here. So we're going to have to break it up kind of. So when we took off this rectangle, we took off the 8 inches of that side. So we can take 20 minus 8, which gives us 12. So this side just by itself is 12 inches. If we were talking about the whole side, it would be 20. But we only have a small portion of it, so it's 12. I did 20 minus 8. So now we can multiply this rectangle. So we got 12 times 6. Which is 72. So now we have the area of both rectangles, and let's just add them up. So we have 80 plus 72 is 152 inches squared is our answer. And example 4, this one we're kind of going backwards. So they gave us the area, 175 feet squared. And they gave us one side, but we're trying to figure out the L, the length. Let's use our formula A equals L times W, which stands for area equals length times width. And let's plug in the numbers that we know. We have the area, which is 175, equals, we're missing the length, so we just keep it L, times width is 7. Now we solve. You got to think back to when we were doing our algebra portion. We have to get the L by itself to figure out what that number is. So we do the opposite of multiplication, which is division. So we divide by 7 on both sides. This side cancels out, leaving us with just the L. And let's go ahead and solve 175 divided by 7. And we get a length of 25. And it's actually going to be 25 feet. Now it's just feet, it's not squared because only our area is squared. So we just found our missing length by using this formula, A equals L times W. Here are your two practice problems. Number 1 is a pretty simple one. It's a square, or it's a rectangle, but you can figure out what the other two sides are very easily. And number 2 is just like example number 4. So if you need to rewatch that, you should do so. Don't forget a word problem or question, and rate your understanding.